Hey guys, welcome back to the show. In today's episode, I am going to share with you why those dates that went so well for a really long time, maybe a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months, and why they seem to fizzle out despite having great chemistry with the other person, and why it might not be as bad as you think it is. Welcome to Intentionally Single, Seeking But Not Settling. I'm Lauren Jean, your host, integrative wellness coach, and hypnotist. Each week, we explore mindset shifts and mind-body strategies to help you live life intentionally single and content while remaining open to possibilities. Unlike typical dating advice, we focus on personal fulfillment to attract genuine love. Join us to transform unconscious patterns and embrace your intentionally single lifestyle. Stop feeling deflated by the dating world and start prioritizing the most important relationship, the one with yourself. Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Today, I'm talking about something that I know hits close to home for many of you, as it does very much for me. And it's that frustrating moment when a great person that you have been talking to for a while, maybe 2 weeks to a couple of months, seems to go quiet or doesn't message you like they used to, like their patterns are different and you feel a difference. Maybe they stop completely or they just seem different. And you're kind of wondering what went wrong or if you did something to turn them off. I can relate to this situation. And the reason I'm recording this episode is a bit selfish. Still, I have heard from many of my listeners and some friends who are dating that this is a very common issue. So this is not unknown. I remember one specifically, and this is fairly recent. I had met someone through an app, and it took us a while to meet up because of life's normal demands, kids, work, responsibilities. But we finally did, and we had a great time. We hit it off immediately. We met at a nice Italian restaurant. We had some wonderful dinner. We were together for about 2.5 hours and we talked the entire time. It was really great. We spoke and we texted throughout the week, and I had made it clear that I need plans. I am not the type of girl to make last minute plans. It's just not who I am. Because once I get comfy at home, I am home and I'm enjoying my own peace. From there on out, we had 3 other dates planned. We had another dinner, a movie, and a nice walk. It was really wonderful. So we had this pattern going. It seemed to be every Sunday. And then one Sunday, I had to cancel because I was so tired. My body was just hurting and I needed to rest. And after that, we never saw each other again up until this point. And that was, I believe, back in November. But we continued to talk via text, and we still do from time to time. And soon then, after that, it kind of just stopped for no reason. And then it started again. But at that time, I remember feeling that kind of like it was like a sting of rejection that I had experienced before. And I wonder if he was just kind of brushing me off. Was he just bored or not interested anymore because we weren't making contact and we weren't seeing each other? I was wondering, had he gotten scared of the chemistry we had because we had really nice chemistry? And I had a ton of thoughts in my mind, but I knew my mind was kind of going crazy just to fill in the unknown blank of what had happened. It wanted to close that loop and find the answer. Guys, when a connection that looked and felt really good starts to fade, it can trigger a ton of emotional responses that can feel overwhelming and disheartening. One moment, you're kind of riding on that excitement of new possibilities, of maybe a new relationship, feeling that rare spark of connection that makes your heart skip and your mind one riled with ideas. Did I say riled? I said riled. It makes your mind run wild with ideas. And then suddenly you're thrown into this whirlpool of uncertainty as the energy shifts and you don't know what is going on anymore. And the person who once replied to your text within minutes now takes really long to respond. Or they used to be the one to initiate conversations, and that has stopped as well. And What felt warm and inviting at one point starts to feel distant and replaced by really nice but brief messages. And I know for myself and other people who have come to me say that they find themselves analyzing every word, every detailed response, wondering if you've done something wrong or if you're just not important enough to deserve their time. Maybe they have better things to be doing. This emotional roller coaster is exhausting, especially when you're already invested and you have hope and you have energy and you put all of this into what seemed like it could be a meaningful connection, which is something that we are all looking for. Now, personally, I did not experience this emotional roller coaster with the last one I just told you about. I was just left wondering what had happened. But I was okay because I practice what I preach. And having this podcast really helps me stay on top of my emotions as well. I consider this show to be part of my own self love practice, keeps me in check, and addition to helping you all with this. So, thank you for taking the time to listen. Anyway, one of the most common misconceptions in dating is believing that someone's availability equals their level of interest. This belief couldn't be more wrong and damaging also to your self worth because it makes your mind go crazy. We've developed this habit of interpreting a busy schedule as a personal rejection, convincing ourselves that if someone truly cared, they would somehow create extra hours in their day or they would find a way. I used to say this myself, and I've realized that this is just not the truth. Sometimes maybe they are trying to brush you off, but for the most part, if you had a really good date, a really good connection, this person is just occupied otherwise. So when someone's communication style changes or they just can't maintain that same level of chatter and excitement and texting with you that they initially showed, sometimes we try to force a connection into this impossible schedule that just can't exist. We're desperately trying to keep that initial excitement and that energy, and we tell ourselves if they wanted to, they would, without considering that sometimes, even when someone wants to, they genuinely can't, at least not in the way that we might hope or expect them to. And what happens when we force things? This is a subject that I dove into deep many years ago. And forcing doesn't just work. I'm sure you've tried it before. So think, have you tried to force something in the past, a relationship? Like maybe this is an example that is more relatable. Maybe you have tried to get your kids to clean their room or to get someone to understand that your way is better. This creates resistance and it pushes the other person away and you just get more frustrated. Forcing never works. So just stop it. Really stop it. We live in this time where romantic comedies and social media have made us believe that love conquers all. It does not. Today, we face these demands that the older generations never faced. The reality of this modern life is much more difficult, more complex. People have busy schedules and life commitments. They have kids who play sports and have to be at weekend games and practices. They have exes who torment them. They have family problems. They have health issues. They have money issues. Really, everything seems to be an issue these days. And we are dealing with so many more things on our plate. A lot of people are building their careers while at the same time they're caring for aging parents and also trying to take care of themselves and their own well being. The increase of remote work has kind of gotten rid of that. We'll call it blurring this line between personal and work life. And it makes it more challenging than ever to find time for dating because people are overworking these days. And another thing that we can overlook is sometimes we interpret someone as being too busy for a relationship when actually it's them being exactly where they want to be, looking for a connection without commitment. Have you ever thought of that? It's still not about you. They might genuinely enjoy your company and maybe they want to maintain some level of contact with you, but they're not in a space where they're actively pursuing a serious relationship. I want something to be honest. Like, I really want you to look at this and be honest with yourself. This initial excitement, you know that feeling when maybe you order something and you're really excited when you saw it online and then you finally decided to place the order and then you're waiting for it and then it finally arrives at your door. You open the box and you look at it and you kind of throw it to the side. That excitement is gone. I've gone through this with things that I've ordered from Amazon, or I recently ordered some new skincare. I was so excited to order it. And then when I got it, it wasn't as exciting anymore. Like the anticipation is gone. So bringing it back to the dating, that nonstop texting and eagerness to connect, a lot of that is just dopamine, which is this chemical rush that we get from something new and exciting. And when that initial hit wears off, and it always does, people often realize that their real level of interest wasn't as high as it seemed, like I used in that example of ordering something and then getting it in the mail. So maybe they're really not as interested in you, but they don't want to hurt your feelings with this outright rejection. And I'm not trying to be mean here, but think about it. There is a lot to be said about wanting to fill time and wanting to find a connection. And on the other hand, actually wanting a relationship. They're two very different things. And like I said earlier, these things are not about you. It's about the person themselves and what they are actually looking for. Sometimes we just honestly want a connection. Sometimes we want to find a way to occupy our time. And sometimes we want attention from someone. And it doesn't mean it has to be a relationship. Sometimes when we've been single for so long, we're just looking to have that connection and to have a conversation with someone, but it doesn't mean that we actually want a relationship. So maybe it is that they're not trying to hurt you. So it's just kind of starting to fizzle out. This is a possibility. Or maybe another thing is they just don't have the energy for more because of all the things that are happening in their life. So like I said, this isn't necessarily about being too busy. It's about different levels of relationship intention. And that's okay. Not everyone in the dating pool is looking for their life partner at every moment, even if they're open to these meaningful connections. Some people just want to find someone they can have a great conversation with and just kind of see where it goes. And I wonder if you've been the one to go cold. Like, are you really ready for a relationship? I did an episode way back in the beginning of the year. I say that as if it's been a long time. It really hasn't been. About readiness for a relationship. I highly suggest you go back and listen to that episode. So, are you really ready for a relationship, or are you just looking for a connection, something to occupy your time and your mind? I'm going to be honest, I have been on that side a bunch of times. So, you know how I could tell that I wasn't really ready? Is I wasn't emotionally rocked or upset when another person kind of went cold. I wasn't upset. I wasn't wondering. I just continued my life and I was still okay communicating with them. So, is this you? I just wonder. So, all of this talk that I'm saying is really hitting a chord right now with me because I realized that a lot of the times that I was out there on the apps, I wasn't really looking for a relationship. I wanted to tell myself that I was, but I really, really wasn't because I'm truly happy where I am right now. And I know that when it's time, I'm going to know. So, add to all of this the talk on and off social media, on personal development and mental health. And there is this perfect storm of competing priorities that can make these traditional dating feel impossible. We must understand that someone's level of engagement in dating or talking with you might simply reflect their current relationship goals rather than their level of interest in you specifically. Again, it's not about you. Most likely, the situation is about them. This is all situations, by the way. It is not personal unless you've done something horrible, and that's really unlikely. So, when we misinterpret this legitimate life circumstance as personal rejection, we are creating unnecessary suffering for ourselves. And maybe we're missing out on a meaningful connection with a wonderful person that could turn into a amazing friendship. And if we take this as rejection, it could lead to this incredibly horrible, vicious cycle of self-doubt and anxiety where every single unanswered text makes it feel like we're unworthy or something is wrong with us. Guys, when we start to view ourselves through a lens of rejection, even when none exists, this is a distortive perspective that can cause us to push away people who are actually being honest and respectful about their current time limitations. And even worse, it can lead us to ignore our own needs and boundaries in an attempt to start to accommodate someone else's schedule, setting ourselves up for burnout and disappointment. Nobody wants that. What if we could shift our understanding of these situations entirely? I want you to consider this. Sometimes the timing isn't right because both people are exactly where they need to be in their individual journeys. When someone tells you that they're too busy for a relationship, they might be showing you tremendous respect by being honest about their capacity to give to you. I would rather have someone be completely honest than to try to guess or think that it was me that pushed him away. That's the last thing that I would want to think. This is not about your worth. Again, this is not about you. This is about them. It's not about anything else. It's about the current stage of life that you're in and they're in and priorities. Being busy isn't always an excuse. Sometimes it's just a sign of healthy boundaries being put up and self-awareness. And that's a person that's worth building a friendship with. You never know where it could lead when you just have self-respect and you're open to any possibility. I want to be really honest here. Sometimes what we're interpreting as too busy is actually someone who's perfectly content with a lighter level of connection. They might genuinely enjoy your company, value your conversations, and want to maintain some sort of relationship. Maybe just not the kind of committed relationship you might be hoping for. And this isn't deception, it's just a different relationship goal. They might be in a phase of life where they want to maintain several casual connections rather than focusing on developing one serious relationship. And they're not necessarily too busy, they're just putting their energy in different places. So, someone who knows they can't or don't want to give to a relationship the attention it deserves might actually be showing you emotional maturity rather than disinterest. And recognizing this difference is crucial for your own emotional well being. Here's the thing though, you don't have to just accept this uncertainty and live in that uncomfortable limbo where you're not really sure where they're headed. If someone's behavior has changed and you're just feeling confused, the most powerful thing you can do is to directly communicate and ask them for clarity. It doesn't have to be confrontational, something as simple as, I've noticed our communication has changed lately. I've really enjoyed getting to know you, and I'm wondering where you see this going. Their response, both what they say and how they say it, will tell you everything you know. If they give you these vague answers, avoid the question, or make promises that they don't follow through on, that's your answer right there. Trust your gut instinct. If something feels off about their explanation, it probably is. From that point on, it's up to you to decide what works for your emotional well being. Maybe you're perfectly happy maintaining a casual friendship. Maybe you've realized you want something more substantial and you need to move on. Either way, the power is in your hands to choose what serves you best. And this reframed understanding creates space for a more authentic approach to dating and relationships. When we release the pressure to force connections into something that they are not, we open ourselves up to possibilities that might unfold in these unexpected ways. This perspective allows us to maintain our self-worth regardless of others' availabilities, because we understand that their capacity for connection isn't a reflection of our value. It acknowledges the complexity of modern adult life while honoring both people's needs for balance and authenticity. And most importantly, it creates room for connections to evolve naturally without the weight of unrealistic expectations or these fake timelines. Guys, I would love to hear from you. Please click the show notes at the bottom. There is a way to contact me directly. I would love for you to do that. I can get a direct message directly from you. Click that link, leave me a message. I get a notification right on my phone. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you been on either side of this situation? Please share your story or your insight on Instagram at thegirlwiththevine tattoo. And on next week's show, I am going to share more about rejection, the unexpected gift of rejection. It's going to be about using your dating feedback to build this unshakable self-worth. So join me back here next week. And until then, remember your time is precious and so is your peace of mind. But always, always keep your heart open to possibilities. I will see you next week.